Welcome back. It's Friday, September 29th. I'm Jamie Yukas.
And I'm Rachel Kim in for Ridabeh Shabazi this morning.
We do want to begin with breaking news. Senator Dianne Feinstein, the country's longest serving female senator, has died. She was 90 years old. We now want to bring in Claremont McKenna College political science professor Jack Pitney this morning. Jack, thank you so much for being with us. You know, Senator Feinstein, when you go ahead and look at her career, she had so many firsts. For you, what stands out?
One incident in particular, in 1993, during her first year in the Senate, another senator, an opponent of gun control, questioned her expertise on the question of gun violence. And she responded very forcefully that she had become mayor of San Francisco as the result of gun violence, succeeding the murdered George Moscone. That was a memorable moment, and it was a sign that Dianne Feinstein was not somebody to be trifled with. And that was the impression she left on her colleagues for many years to come. She was a forceful advocate for her positions and for the people of California.
You know, we have to mention, though, in the final days of her career, people were really talking about her health, her competency. There was a debate, you know, was this gender specific? People hadn't gone after male senators previously. But, you know, I heard her biographer say, well, you know, she's stubborn. She's going to make up her mind when she wants to make up her mind. She said she wasn't going to run in 2024. What impact do you think the last several months will have on her legacy?
I think in the long run, people are going to remember Dianne Feinstein as she was in her prime, as somebody who, among other things, investigated torture programs of the U.S. intelligence community. The last months were unfortunate. They were painful for her. But in the long run, people are going to remember her for the things that she did, not for the trouble she had toward the end.
You know, we do expect flags to be lowered to half staff at state and federal office buildings. There's already been some chatter that the White House was about to lower those to half staff. She's a giant in politics, but her death now raises questions about her successor. I know Governor Newsom has said he's going to nominate a current candidate for her seat in the interim. He also in the past, though, has said that he would name a black woman if that seat became available. Can you talk about the list of possible successors? And also, I was reading just before we went on air that he could actually put someone in place to just kind of oversee the seat. How does this all work out?
He's indicated that he would not appoint any of the current candidates. There was some speculation early on that he might appoint Barbara Lee because he promised to appoint a black woman, but she's running for the seat. And the way it works is he gets to appoint an interim successor until the next election in November 2024. The interim successor would serve until that election is certified, and presumably, as there was last time out with Senator Padilla, there would be a double election, one for the full 6-year term and one for the remaining weeks of the term, presumably with the same person. Who that would be, again, many highly qualified African-American women in the state of California. Some speculation that if she were willing, at least temporarily, to give up the job of Secretary of State, Shirley Weber would be an outstanding appointment.
I've also heard the name Oprah Winfrey thrown out. I mean, the list of names has been wide-ranging, to say the least. Do you know, Rachel and I were just talking before the show, we have so much going on in Congress right now. How long does something like this take, an appointment to that seat, when we have so much that needs to happen, especially when you're looking at a government shutdown potentially happening this weekend and some other legislative matters?
It happened very quickly. This is not something that requires any kind of approval. The governor can make the appointment as soon as it's appropriate. Obviously, there's a decent interval in mourning for Senator Feinstein, but the governor's had plenty of time to think about this, so I suspect we could see an appointment within a matter of days.
Okay, so it can be that fast. All right. Can we take just a minute to put her role in history into perspective? Because I think when you start going down the list, it's like she was mayor, but she became mayor after, as you said, the gun violence that happened in San Francisco. She was a senator for more than 3 decades. Just talk about what this really means, and I think for women, what this really means.
Well, in 1992, when she won her Senate seat, it was called the Year of the Woman. She was elected at the same time as Senator Barbara Boxer. And at the time, the election of a woman to the Senate was still a noteworthy achievement. And the members of that class of senators, women members, still had to face a good deal of discrimination and the assumption that they couldn't do the job as well as a man. Women still face many barriers in politics, but we've come to the point of normalizing women in the U.S. Senate, women in high office. Kamala Harris was senator, and then she became vice president. The idea that women in politics are commonplace, that women in politics are a normal part of our political life is actually a great accomplishment of Dianne Feinstein.
Well, that's, I think, no matter what political party you're a part of, no matter what you've thought the last few months about her health deteriorating, she truly was a trailblazer and will be remembered for that. Thanks so much for joining us, Jack. We appreciate it.
Thank you.